Senior Year is a 2022 Netflix comedy starring Rebel Wilson as Stephanie, a woman that has just awoken from a 20-year coma, and when she wakes up, she intends to finish out her high school dream of becoming prom queen. So this review is most likely going to be somewhat short because unlike all my other stuff, I didn't write out a review for this. I don't think that there's a lot to talk about. I don't think there's a lot to discuss. I am a fan of Rebel Wilson, of course. I have been ever since I first saw her in Pitch Perfect, and since then I've mostly followed her career. I find her to be mostly a pretty funny actress, but that completely hinges on the material that you choose to make. You know, obviously the wrong stuff is gonna make you stand out as not that great. And Senior Year is not that great. I didn't really get into it. I didn't really think it was that funny. Ultimately, if you watch the trailer to this film, you probably think to yourself, you've seen this movie before, and that's because you have. I mean, if you saw Tom Hanks in Big, you've seen this movie. If you've seen 13 Going on 30 with Jennifer Garner, you've seen this movie. If you saw 17 Again with Zac Efron, you've seen this movie in reverse. I mean, it's always the same idea. A kid is basically forced to become an adult and skip all the teenage years and young adult years and just boom, you're going on 40. 17 Again was the other way around, going back to the teenage years, but whatever. The idea is the same. The only real difference is that this movie doesn't do the magical situation, they just do a medical explanation. So, a coma. I guess that's fine, but what you should know about this movie is that it is filled to the brim with stupid humor. Now, stupid humor on its own, there's nothing wrong with it, but comedies these days do a really good job, usually, balancing out comedy with other genres, such as drama, such as horror, such as romance, and this movie is defined as a comedy drama, but it's not a comedy drama. This movie is 90% dumb humor, and then because I feel like it felt obligated, there is some drama, there is some emotion to it, and you know exactly where it's going to because it's not exactly unpredictable. But basically, the drama stuff in this movie, it's fine, it just feels so unwarranted, so unearned, so almost forced. Like they didn't really want to do it, but they felt like they needed to do it. It's very confusing. I mean, I prefer comedies that do a good job balancing between all these genres because then everything feels warranted, then everything can be relatable, then everything makes you care about characters that much more. This movie feels like it's going nowhere 90% of the time because you know where it's gonna end up, it just takes forever to get there. She has to come to age, so to speak, or catch up to her age, I guess, in a fish out of water scenario that's super hilarious and people are completely unrealistic in the film and whatever. It's dumb. It's a dumb movie. I shouldn't be that surprised again because one, it is Netflix, and two, it's Rebel Wilson, who often does play this type of character. And another thing about Rebel Wilson, she obviously lost a lot of weight prior to this film, and you know, good for her, but my brain couldn't connect the fact that it was Rebel Wilson because it doesn't look like her. It sounds like her. She acts like Rebel Wilson, but honestly, it doesn't look like her, so I couldn't connect the dots. And so this entire time, I was actually distracted with the film because I'm like, that's not Rebel Wilson, but it is. But yeah, like I said before, there's not a lot to talk about with this movie because it's not this deeply meaningful film. Like, there is a little bit of depth in the movie, like I said, that kind of felt forced there, like it was obligated to be there, but a majority of it is incredibly shallow and just stupid, basically. Honestly, if you're like me, the only reason why you would watch this movie in the first place is because you're a fan of Rebel Wilson. Because the concept alone, you've seen it before, multiple times, and you've obviously seen it done better too. In general, I would say that this movie is mediocre. It's a mediocre comedy. Like, some of the jokes I thought were funny, but a lot of the times I thought that people were acting unrealistic and whatever. Actually, I think the funniest thing about the movie was Rebel Wilson's character's dad, who in the beginning of the movie was wearing a Blockbuster work shirt, and then when she wakes up from her coma, it wasn't Blockbuster anymore because obviously that closed down, and instead he was wearing a work shirt for Best Buy, and it was hilarious because he was always wearing a work shirt. Like, he was never wearing regular clothes at home. He was always ready for work. I don't know why that was funny to me and nothing else really was, because that too was kind of stupid, but like just the fact that everybody was stupid and there was no real grounded character. For the most part, everybody was stupid. I just was not into it. So with that being said, why don't we go ahead and break down my final score, which I have to look up. So this is one of those semi-rare instances where my unbiased score agrees with my biased score, so everything's agreeing with one another, and that score is 58%, which basically says, you know, the movie is generally what it wants to be. It's not trying to win awards. It's not trying to be this big blockbuster. It's not trying to be super special. It's just trying to have a good time. So the best thing that I could say about that is that the characters definitely have chemistry together. Like, they seem to be having a fun time. So for what it's worth, that's good. But it's also a movie that, for me, it's going in one ear, it's going out the other. I'm not gonna remember it. So my biased score and the unbiased score agree with each other. Basically, it is middle of the road at best. Some things are entertaining, and that's about it. That means when we combine those two scores together, we obviously do come down to a final rating of 58%, 58 out of 100 possible stars. For me, that's a C- letter grade on my letter grading scale. But what about you guys? Are you still subscribed to Netflix? And if you are you planning to see senior year here with Rebel Wilson? And if not, I don't know, why not? I guess. And for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come up with my next review. And until then, peace out.